How common are adverse events with Librela? This new study looked to investigate that. They collected worldwide data from the 1st of February 2021 all the way through the 30th of June 2024 and found less than 10 adverse events for every 10,000 animals treated. They did this using a database that Zoetis has that looks at adverse events reported for all of their products. These events can be reported by veterinarians, veterinary staff, animal caregivers, and also social media, meaning that if someone comments on social media and says Librela did XYZ, they add it to this. And they took all reports received, even if it was off-label use, and found that out of 18 million doses, there were about 17,162 adverse events reported, with the most frequent adverse event being lack of efficacy, meaning it just didn't work. There were some differences country to country. Like the US and Canada had the most adverse events, with 18 per 10,000 doses. And here's the global distribution of the most common adverse events, with lack of efficacy being number 1 and polydipsia being number 2, ataxia being number 3. Who was more likely to report an adverse event? 80% were either greater than 10 years or had an age listed as unknown. They were listed in fair condition. They didn't have weight for every patient, but the average weight was about 26 kilograms, which when you compare to every single adverse event that's collected by this, for all Zoetis products, the average age of those patients were 4.7 years and about 18 kgs. Here's a heat map comparing the different countries and the adverse events that were reported. Like this down here is the United States, where ataxia was the number 1 reported adverse event. This one up here is Canada, which had not eating as the most common adverse event. And then here's Australia and the EU for comparison as well. And they did not have to prove causality with these reported adverse events, meaning if they got another medication at the same time, or they had a pre-existing condition such as cancer, they were still included. Here's the study again if you want to look it up and read it yourself. It was published by Zoetis, but this gives us a much bigger population to look at. I thought it was interesting that the adverse events kind of differed from country to country, but overall this seems to fit what most veterinarians are saying about Librela, that these adverse events are rare and may be related to the age of the population that's being treated.